So this is going to be part 2 of our video. Unfortunately, the last video is getting a little too long. So let's look at number 11. Given the points S, X, and Y are collinear, which you can see they're all on the same line, the point S is between X and Y, you can see that, and point T is the midpoint of XS, so this is point T, it's the midpoint. So these are the same length. If XT, which is this right here, is 4, that also means that TS is 4 because since T is the midpoint, these two are the same length. And XY, so this whole thing, which is XY, is 30. Find SY. So all we have to do, this whole thing is 30. We do 8, which is 4 plus 4, plus question mark equals 30. So question mark equals 22. Line SY equals 22. All right, that's it. All right, let's look at number 12. Solve for X and Y, then determine the angle measures. These two angles are vertical angles, so they're equal to each other. 3x plus 20 equals 5x minus 50. So we have 70 equals 2x, x equals 35. So that makes this angle, let's see, 35 times 3 plus 20, 35 times 3 plus 20 equals 125. So this is 125 degrees. That makes this also 125 degrees, but if we calculated it out, we'd get the same thing. And Y is a linear pair with this angle here. So that's just 180 minus 125. 180 minus 125 equals 55. So Y equals 55 and X equals 35. For the next one, all right, 7x and 56 are vertical angles. So 7x equals 56, x equals 8. We plug in now for x. So this is 56 degrees. This is 16 degrees. And now we still need to find y. Simple. These three angles are supplementary. You see the half angle here. So we have 56 plus 16 plus y equals 180. So we do 180 minus 56 minus 16 equals 108. So y equals 108. So this is 108 degrees. All right, that's all for that one. Now let's look at this one. Once again, vertical angles, 3x equals 2x plus 16. So we end up with x equals 16. And that's all there is to it. 16 times 3 is 48. So this is 48 degrees. This is also 48 degrees because they're a linear pair. And that's your answer to 12. All right, let's move on. Number 13. Number 13 is pretty easy, even though it looks like a lot. This is a typo. This is supposed to be the parallel to sign. So given line L is parallel to line M, and line N is parallel to line Q, and the measure of angle 1 equals 100 degrees, find all the measures of the angles in the diagram. So angles 1 and 2 are a linear pair, making angle 2 80 degrees. Angle 3 is a vertical pair, 100 degrees. and angle 4 is a vertical pair to angle 2, so also 80 degrees. When we look over here, 5 corresponds to 1, 100 degrees. 6 and 2 correspond, 80 degrees, 100 degrees, 80 degrees. We use the same tools to find all of these. 100 degrees, 80 degrees, 100 degrees, 80 degrees, 100 degrees, 100 degrees, 80 degrees, 80 degrees. You can find these in multiple ways. You input your answer and 80 degrees, 100 degrees, 80 degrees, 100 degrees. Just alternating. Not always will you have it alternating like this. For this problem, it just so happened to work out. Okay, number 14. Given that the lines in the figure below are parallel, find the measure of angle 1. All right? These are parallel. Okay. So, first thing I'm going to do, these two angles are a linear pair. This right here, 50 degrees. These two angles are a linear pair. This is 35 degrees. All right? So, what we're going to do next is, I like to make this into a triangle, making this 90 degrees right here. So this is 40 degrees. Since this is also 90 degrees, we have 55 degrees. So we can find angle 1 easily. These two add up to 95 degrees, so that makes angle 1 85 degrees. So the measure of angle 1 equals 85 degrees. All right. For number 15, given that line L is parallel to line M, prove that the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 7. I know you guys don't love these two column proofs, but I promise you they'll get easier with time. Alright, so first we're going to talk about what our given is. That's easy. It's L being parallel to M. The measure of angle 2 is congruent to the measure of angle 6. We know this because of the corresponding, and I'm just going to abbreviate here, corresponding angles theorem. Alright, corresponding angles theorem. The measure of angle 6, and remember we have to go, the next step follows from what's above it. So we either have to use measure of angle 2 or measure of angle 6 to get something. We're going to use measure of angle 6 because in our answer we already have 2. We need to get to 7. So the measure of angle 6 is congruent to the measure of angle 7. This is because they're vertical angles. And then the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 7. Let's make that a congruent symbol since that's what we've been using this whole time. So the measure of angle 2 is congruent to the measure of angle 7 by substitution. You just cut out the middleman, that is 6, and you substitute in 2 and 7. You got them congruent to each other. You could also have said the transitive property of congruence. Alright, transitive property of congruence is probably better here, but I said substitution. Alright, the complement of an angle is 9 times as large as the angle. Find the angle. So we're going to say angle 1 equals A, and angle 2 equals 9A. And we're talking about the complement, which means angle 1 and angle 2 must equal 90. So A plus 9A equals 90. 10A equals 90. A equals 9. Alright? So that means that angle 1 equals 9 degrees. Angle 2 equals 81 degrees. Alright? And that works. Number 17. An angle is 18 degrees less than 2 times its complement. Find the angle. Angle 1 equals A. Angle 2 equals 2A minus 18. So we make them equal to each other. Or we add them, sorry. A plus 2A minus 18 equals 90 because it's a complement. So we end up with 3A minus 18 equals 90. 3A equals 108. 108 divided by 3 equals 36. So A equals 36. So measure of angle 1, 36 degrees. Measure of angle 2 equals 72 minus 18, which is 54 degrees. If you add them up, you get 90. All right, let's move on. So our last page here. We have another 2-column proof. This time it's blank. So, given that line K is parallel to line P, prove that the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3. So already we have K is parallel to B, and that's because it's given to us. And we're trying to find, always right at the bottom, measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3. So the first thing that we can go ahead and say is angle 1, all right, or sorry, angle 2 is congruent to angle 3 because they are vertical angles, all right? We know that already. Also, we can say that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, right? Because they are corresponding angles, corresponding angle theorem. All right, so now we can use the transitive property of congruence to go ahead and say that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. The transitive property of congruence. This is not the transitive property of equality because that is a congruent sign, not an equal sign. All right, so keep that in mind. And now we can skip step 5. We don't need a step 5 for this. Now, I mean, you could use it, but not the way that I'm proving it. We have the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3, and this is just the definition of congruence. All right, that's just what that means, of congruence, or this symbol, whatever you want to call it. All right, let's move on to number 19. Find x and identify the special angle pair. Well, these are corresponding angles, right? So now all you have to do to find x, since we know corresponding angles are congruent, we have 23x minus 5 equals 21x minus 5. All right. It appears that this problem either printed incorrectly. I think it did print incorrectly, so that should be plus 5. So we have 23x plus 10 equals 21x. So that becomes 2x equals negative 10. X equals negative 5. As you can see, there was an issue with this problem. It was written wrong. That's okay. These things happen. But we figured out what x is, and that's what matters, even if there's an issue with the actual problem. All right. Moving on to number 20. Find x and identify the special angle pair. These two are alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. All right? So they are also congruent. Negative 1 minus 14x equals 12x plus 17. Negative 26x equals 18. So once again, we seem to have an issue, I think. Yeah, it seems we do have another issue. Let's try making that positive. All right. Negative 1 plus 14x. So we'll do this differently. Let's see. 2x equals 18. X equals 9. Perfect. All right, number 21. Find x and identify the special angle pair. These are consecutive because they're on the same side, interior because they're in between the two parallel lines, angles. So we have consecutive, interior, angles. All right? These are supplementary. So 20x plus 5 plus 24x minus 1 equals 180. All right. 44x plus 4 equals 180. 44x equals 176. And 176 divided by 44 is 4. So x equals 4. All right, good job, everybody. Good luck on your quiz. Next week, I'm sure you'll all do great, especially if you do the study guide. Although do remember that because this is an accelerated class, your study guide here is not everything that's going to be on the quiz, and you're also going to want to review your notes and your old homework. So good luck.